Usually sit around and have your lunch. I know you pretty well, and you're gonna let me have 15, 20 minutes, and if you like it, maybe longer. So I'm gonna do it a little old school here.
All right.
And don't open up till I tell you to.
Thank you, sir.
We got
So you
rules around
should
this.
pass it out to me.
So Gary,
Don't start till I tell you to.
Yeah. Wait, so this is, what was this joking about?
That's exactly what everybody wanted. Don't open it.
Yeah, self-deprecation is kind of. I needed 2 copies. This is a CE potential?
there's, not yet on that one.
Okay.
Just hang on, please.
Is that your shorter
Worse
version?
than I do.
Prepared version, no.
Let me keep them.
Yeah, wait until Gary's ready on the,
Recording is started. We're
You tell me
ready
when to
roll.
go, Gary.
You're good.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for having me. Paul, thanks for setting this up. I want to introduce myself again to, I think we have a couple new people here. So I'm Brad Ross, and as my other friends in here know, I've recently switched firms. And you know, I've been at Putnam for 15 years, and someone acquired us, you might know the name, Franklin. And I'm one of the lucky few that didn't make it because I was able to join a firm called Locor. And let me tell you just a quick bit about Locor. One of the reasons I spent some time, even before Putnam was on the block, I wanted to do things a different way. And I was able to find a firm called Locor. And one of the things Locor is, what I like to say, it's an institutional money manager brought to the retail client place. Our money managers are all open-end 40 Act mutual funds, but our managers are all institutional. Most of your clients do not have access. Many hedge funds are involved in our solutions, and again, it's 40 Act, but they're institutional type of money managers. Now, guys, the last time I was in here, one of the things I did, this was probably, I haven't done it in a while, but one of the things I actually said, look, we're gonna have a tough conversation here. And how many people remember my Style Box conversation of about 10 years ago? And I told you Style Box investing is dead for the foreseeable future. I think we had some conversations, a little bit of argument about that. Some people maybe even got a little annoyed. But once we all had that conversation and we went through it, I was able to convince you that these newly formed funds out there called global allocation funds were something that didn't fit in your Style Box. It didn't fit into what you'd been doing, but it was a new way to diversify your book of business. And I think we had a nice 20, 25-year run, whether you were using mine or BlackRock's or whoever you were using, they performed. Well, I'd like to talk about another concept here today that I think it's worked for a long time. You pretty much understand diversification. What do you think diversification is, Paul?
Owning more than one thing, having those different vehicles work differently.
Well, you know, last time we were in, you were telling me your client book was probably approaching about age 60. What does their book look like? How do you allocate there?
Yeah, I would typically look at a 60-40 portfolio.
And what is that comprised of? Obviously equities?
Equities on the 60% side and cash and fixed income on the 40.
What's your tolerance level for risk?
Well, my tolerance level is fine, but my client's tolerance level was stretched a bit a couple of years ago, but they're happy to be back a little bit this year.
Okay, so historically, would you agree that really asset allocation is 60-40? Is that what most people would do here at the table, or somewhere in there, give or take?
Ish. Yeah.
Would you be surprised or annoyed if I told you we're moving into an era, or we're already there, that you need to take another look at it, and that the current ways of doing allocation is wrong?
I'd be interested in hearing.
So if I can go through a presentation here, and everyone at least says, okay, there may be some merit to that. One of the things I'm going to want to do is come back next month and sit down and really walk you through an in-depth presentation of what we do with the institutional quality managers that we bring to the table. The other thing that I would suggest, if we're able to get to that point, that the Locor managers is an allocation, it's not a trade. This is something that if you look at it, it's an institutional type of product, and as you know, institutionals have a 3 to 5 year outlook. And as you look at our portfolios here, please take in mind that's how we look at them as well. All right, so very briefly, we can go through, but, and historically, you can see the 60-40 discussion, rebalance every quarter, or some people do it annually. You all know that, we've all gone through that. We just found out from Paul, he's doing that, and that's what I like to call the right way, but the old way. As we move on here, everybody's brought up on modern portfolio theory. Gary over there, he used to teach it in his classes in CFP, so he can give us some comments on that later. But the traditional 60-40, it's okay, all right, and it's worked. But I'd like to suggest to you that that there's a new word, and you could see if I'd had a pen, I would have written it on the board. But correlation. You guys think about correlation much in your daily practice? What do you think correlation means?
Well, correlation to me is how assets move together, how closely they move together or not, depending on how you look at correlation.
How have bonds moved with stocks over the past few years? Have they?
In lockstep, and it's moved the same way.
So, Paul, you've got your 60-40 split.
Yep.
And if equities and fixed income are moving together, is that diversified?
No.
Can I show you a way to help diversify that book over the next 5 minutes?
Yeah.
That's terrific. All right, let's move from the old way and let's talk about the new way. One of the things that I'm very passionate about is that when we're talking about diversification, I'm always looking for different ways to do it. And I know many of you have done the real estate allocation before, you've done the international allocation before, or global. We've all gone through the different times in our careers where we've had different allocation. One of the things that we've brought up from time to time is what a ride we've had with no inflation. 1.5%, 2% mortgages, 1.5% car loans. It's been a nice ride for the past 10, 15 years, hasn't it? Well, have any of you at all looked at some of the charts that's come out recently on just how much equities and stocks have correlated? So one of the things I'd like to talk about here, if you look at, I think we're at page 8, take a look at that. Chris, do you know that chart? Can you tell me what that's telling us right there?
What is page 8?
Page
You
8
didn't
is
give me
the-
a copy of this handout, but I'll find page 8.
No?
Oh, yeah. Let me think about that. What does that mean? What does that chart say? That says that there was a long period of time when stocks and bonds were positively correlated, it looks like to me.
Paul, would you agree?
Yeah, this era from 1960-ish to 2000-ish is all positive correlation.
I wasn't in the business back then.
You weren't born yet, but let's,
That's twice as heard that today.
no, my point is that I used to do the 60-40 allocation myself, have it in my 401k, and the more I started running the numbers and looking at this and doing my own research, and then following low core, which surprisingly low correlation, is something that I gravitated to several months before I wanted to leave Putnam. I thought it was a different way of doing things, a smarter way, and if you turn the page next, let's talk about inflationary environments. When's the last time we've experienced that? We can debate all day long who caused it and why, but let's just say we're in an inflationary environment over the past 3 years. Okay? I am old enough to remember when my parents were happy with an 18% mortgage. Now, hopefully we're not gonna get to that point right now, but what I'm suggesting is for your clients, if you look at where inflation's going, we are in a similar period of 1979, 1980, 1981. And the way to diversify your portfolios is look at some of the solutions that are institutional quality that LOCOR brings to the table. If you look at the diversification of old, it's the old 60-40. Please turn to page 11. And this is what we do with our solutions. And I'm going to show you some charts in a second that back up what I'm saying. I'm suggesting your stock allocation is what you want it to be. You decide what your risk tolerance is and your clients. But when you go to the fixed income side, I don't think fixed income's helping you anymore. Not making a lot of money off it now, and it runs with stocks. It's the same exact correlation. I think you need to get into your head over and over again, it's not just diversification, think correlation. In any of your other products that you look at for your clients' portfolios, how does it correlate to the market? Look on the next page, page 12, if you look to the left, you can look at some allocation mixes with alternatives. And you can see in the different decades how they move. But what I would suggest is to the most recent, go to the far right, from 1980 to 2023, you can see some numbers there that back up some of the thinking I'm discussing here. If you look at the old 60-40, and then if you look at, you take the 60-20-20, and you blend it with our solutions, or a mixture of our solutions with your other favorite alternative shop, you come out with a nice number and a nice Sharpe ratio. And you've increased your diversification without touching your equities if you don't want to, or you can certainly move some of your equities as well. Let's go to the next page, please. Here's the 60-20-20 on page 13. If you've done the 60-40 and just stuck with that, it would have been 6.2 million, but you've increased it up to 10.1. Does that interest you for your allocation purposes? How many of you are allocating yourself, or are you farming it out to the UMAs or the models?
Doing it, so.
Anybody else doing the models? I'd suggest if you are
I'm
doing,
doing models.
I would suggest if you're doing the models, look at your models and see what they're really invested in. My advisor has me in models, and I started doing that. Most of it's fine, but I would take a good hard look at the correlation in those models that they're putting you in and your clients. I think that we're all here to add value. I'm here to add value to you all, but adding value to your clients, take a good look at what the correlation is in whatever you're using, and I think you'd be surprised. Would you be interested in doing a deeper dive in what we do in the managers next time I come in?
Absolutely.
I appreciate your time and thanks.
Great.